This is my first of 5 videos of things that many hearing people or people who are not deaf think are deaf things, culturally deaf things, but they might be related to deaf people. They're not culturally deaf. So the first thing is the phrase hearing impaired. Hearing impaired, hearing impaired. So hearing impaired is not a deaf word. Deaf people are offended by the phrase hearing impaired. It is polite to call them deaf, not polite to call them hearing impaired. So deafness is a culture. Hearing impaired is a focus on the ear and what that ear cannot do, that it is impaired. So deafness comes with a language. American Sign Language is not a universal language. It is a signed language that is used in the United States of America. That's a whole nother topic. American Sign Language is the language of the deaf community in the United States. So the American deaf community and the deaf community throughout the world has a very rich culture and history. Gallaudet University was started by Thomas Gallaudet and Lorette Clark, coming from France. There is a rich deaf history in America. The blind individuals do use blind and visually impaired, so sometimes it gets a little bit confusing, but blindness does not come with a language or as rich of a culture and history as the American deaf community. The deaf world has deaf schools, Gallaudet University, as I mentioned, and local deaf elementary through high school residential schools for deaf students. There are many shared stories, common jokes within the deaf community. There are many famous deaf people, deaf actresses and actors like Marlee Matlin, musicians, Wah-Wah, other famous deaf people in the United States that much of the deaf community knows. Also, the first football huddle was done by deaf people at Gallaudet University. And football huddles are done in high schools, middle schools, professional football games today, all started at Gallaudet University with a group of deaf football players.